Good evening, everybody. Chef Catco back again. Tonight, what I'm going to do is to demonstrate Moussaka. Moussaka is think of it as usually Greek, but other countries in the Eastern Mediterranean, Middle East have versions of it as well. Uh, Layered eggplant and tomato casserole dish. It's literally a one pan meal. We have cooked potatoes and eggplant, and in between them, we fill in a tomato meat sauce. The meat might be uh, beef or lamb, okay, seasoned with oregano and cinnamon. Very, very typical to have tomato sauces flavored with cinnamon in this part of the world. Um, and it's going to be layered, as I have mentioned, and topped with a bechamel sauce and sort of gratinade or browned in the oven. So we're going to start on ahead with preparing the eggplant. We're going to really today broil it. And what I've done, okay, I've not only sliced it in between a half and a third of an inch in terms of thickness, but what I have done is slightly salted it, weighted down, and the weight, pressure of the weight and the salt drew out some moisture. And this is done in the event that the eggplant at first might be a little bitter. This extracts a lot of that bitterness. Um, then sort of soaked it to get rid of some of that salt. Now what I'm doing is proceeding to uh, coat it with a little bit of olive oil, and also I have a little bit of vegetable oil in here as well. Okay, and we're going to mix it all together. Try to get that oil to be as coated as evenly as possible. And once we do that, I have my oil foil lined sheet tray over here, and we're going to place it under the broiler uh, until it should be browned a bit, but we want it to be nice and tender. Okay, so one more toss, and I think we are good to go. I'm going to lay it right out over here. And then I'll show you what I did with the potatoes, how thick we slice them, and they will be ready to go. Afterwards, okay, going to go ahead and show you how to make the filling. And a little later on, I'll demonstrate or perhaps review how to make a bechamel. And it's very interesting because, originally this dish wasn't topped with a bechamel, which is, of course, an import. Well, depending on your perspective, either from France or Italy. This was developed by a Greek chef in the 1920s who had been trained in France. Okay, so in you go. Alrighty, so once that's done, we could proceed with making our uh, filling. Okay, get the stove fired up. Okay, and going to add approximately 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And before I proceed with that, I just want to show you, okay, how I prepared the potatoes. Okay, we're just going to slice them again about I would say roughly a half an inch. Give it take a millimeter here or there. Just like so. And that will be ready to go. Okay, just to give you sort of an idea, okay, of what they look like. And in they go. Okay, so let us proceed. Let's take our cutting board out of the way so you have a better view. Okay, so I have about I would say about a little over a pound of, this is all ground beef. Couldn't source out ground lamb this week. I mean, definitely if it's in a person's budget or dietary concerns, not to use ground beef. This is pretty lean. Okay, this is about, I think, 85% lean, 15% fat, so it's not too bad. And what I'm going to, what I was going to say, you could substitute ground turkey, for example. But really, typically in Greece, the rule would be probably primarily ground lamb, but sometimes augmented with ground beef. Okay, so we're going to let that brown a bit. And again, just I want to get rid of the pinkish color. Break it up a bit. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to temporarily remove it from the pan, let it drain, get some of the fat out. And then in the flavorful residue that's left at the bottom of the pan, I'm going to sweat my onions, get them translucent, add some garlic, sweat that till it gets aromatic, and perhaps the onions are a little bit of a light golden color. And then we'll add our tomato sauce, our oregano, and re-add the meat. And we're just going to let that simmer probably for about, I would say, 30 to 40 minutes. I'm going to check the eggplant. And eggplant's looking good. Okay, meat's just about where we want it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the residual heat in the chopped beef continue to cook the meat, what we call carryover cooking. And it goes. Okay, so I'm going to add a touch more olive oil. And then proceed. Add my onions. And let that sweat out a bit. But it's very interesting because in a lot of parts of this region, you do see different variants of this dish. In Turkey, for example, they do something similar, but it's not layered. They'll saute the eggplant with ground lamb. They'll use cumin and bay leaf instead of cinnamon and oregano. Okay, they have a version of it in Egypt as well, where it's sort of more of like a sweet and sour flavor profile. So probably the origins of this dish is maybe Middle Eastern or North African, and during the time when Greece was controlled by the Ottoman Turks, because a lot of the Arab countries too were part of that Ottoman Empire, this might have been transported into Greece during that period. Okay, another minute or two. Let's check the eggplant. Okay, let's see. We see a little action here. Okay. So it's a nice color. I want to just check to see if it's done. Okay, just about. I'm gonna go ahead, leave it in there for another minute. Okay, and indeed proceed and add my garlic to this. So it's beginning to take on, the onion, I should say, is beginning to take on a little color. I don't know if you can see that. And indeed, what we're going to do is go ahead, just wait another 30 seconds for the garlic to develop some aroma. Don't want to overcook it, don't want to burn it, don't want it to get bitter. Okay. And now we're going to proceed to add the tomato product. Okay, add my oregano. You know, and it's, well, now especially, but uh, when I'm able to, I'll go to like a Greek market, and sometimes what they'll have the dried wild oregano and still on the branch, and that has to me the most potent, most full aroma and flavor of any oregano you could get. Again, right now, it's kind of difficult to do so, but at some point when I'm able to, I'm definitely going to get another bag of it. Really aromatic, really, like I said, nice, intense aroma and flavor. Just going to add like probably half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And again, this is something you find in Greece and you find in Turkey. Uh, Tomato sauce, which is a touch, a little nuance of cinnamon. Okay, I'm going to give a preliminary dose of a little salt and pepper. I'm probably going to season it later, but just to get some flavor going. And last but not least, yeah, quite a lot of fat came off this meat. So back in you go. All right, so we're gonna let this simmer 30-40 minutes, give or take. And once that is done, we'll be really pretty much ready to assemble. But before we get to that point, I need to show you, or at least to review with you, how to make a bechamel. Okay? I will see you in a bit.